What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson, joined by Tuesdays with Brady, Quinn, and Douzable. What's up, fellas?
What up, Brinson? How you doing? How's everything going with you?
Who just calls him Brinson?
Everybody does. Everybody
I
does.
was about to say, usually everybody does.
Am I the only one who calls him Billy Boy? Oh,
my brother, I have like people in my family that call me Brinson, whose last name is Brinson. I mean, it's weird, man. I think it's because Will was a very common name for my generation.
Yeah, so why not go by Billy?
I can see that.
Why I'm a Robert.
You look
Billy.
like a Billy Brinson.
I'm a Robert. My dad's a Robert. My son's a Robert. He's Bob. I'm Will. He's Robbie. Like, if I'd been Robbie, then Robbie, my son, would be something else, maybe.
Hold on. So are you like the second or the third or something?
No, I'm a senior.
You're a senior, okay.
Bob Brinson is Robert Aiken Brinson. I'm Robert Williams Brinson, and Robbie Brinson is Robert Williams Brinson Jr. But he got the junior, I automatically get the senior. I think. I don't think I have to like apply for it.
All right. Glad we all learned that, right, Douz?
For sure.
You literally asked
little
me
history
the
lesson in the Brinson family.
Not long of an explanation.
It's been under 10 seconds. All right, we're going to talk some rookie minicamp today. Brady started blowing up the group chat, talking about how he wanted to talk about, like he was desperate to talk about Brennan Armstrong wheeling and dealing at the Kansas City Chiefs rookie minicamp. I know that's the top topic. Yeah. Brennan Armstrong, older than maybe a couple of people on this podcast. Anywho, he's old, man. These COVID guys are old as hell. Like Bo Nix is gonna be 25 when he'll turn 25 right after he hoists the Super Bowl as a rookie for the Denver Broncos this year.
Wow, that is quite the bold prediction.
That's a take for sure.
Well, how about this? Yeah. Ryan Helinski is still in college football. I mean, go back and look how old he is. I mean,
good Lord,
he's up there in age as well. But no, look, rookie mini camps are it's your first indoctrination into the NFL. And the interesting thing about it is, for me, like I had to miss my graduation. So like I've graduated twice now.
Me too.
Neither time I've been able to actually walk or do anything. So it was unfortunate, but at the same time, you're there with the rest of the rookies. There's
so
really
you repeated your senior year of college, or like what?
No, they don't give you 2 degrees for doing a victory lap like you did, Will. I know you tried to like work.
I only got one.
Yeah, don't lie.
I wore the tread. I wore the track out. I still only got 1 degree.
That's not true. You would be like all the guys like, what was it, Fast Times at Ridgemont High or
Val Kilmer.
I didn't get it. You mean Val Kilmer? You mean Van Wilder?
Van Wilder, yes. I don't know why Van Wilder.
Same difference. They just look a little different now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it's all your rookies. It's very rarely like you'll have veteran guys there. I don't recall any veterans for my rookie minicamp. Granted, this is back in 2007, but if they were veteran guys, they were probably more like a year or two into the league. Maybe they're on a practice squad. They hadn't quite got an opportunity. They were free agents. They signed to come on, or they were just, trying to prove that they're healthy, but they had maybe been around for a year or two. Correct. That was probably the extent, because you need bodies. That's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand for rookie minicamps are you're at most doing 7-on-7. It's really hard to have an entire offensive line, D-line, and do much more than one-on-ones. But it is your first.
Like Eno Benjamin was at the Chiefs minicamp as an example, like a third-year player who picked like.
That's crazy. He's not signed anywhere.
I know.
Well, the other thing is they've changed the way the practice squad rules work now. Anyway, it's much easier to be a practice squad player and actually be older in the NFL. After you had gotten those three games. That was considered an accredited season. You can only have so many of those before you weren't practice squad eligible. So even those rules have changed, where it might open it up more. Teams might be more open to having a guy come to a rookie minicamp. But it's a quick crash course of the offense, pared down offense, and you're just out there trying to showcase you have somewhat of an understanding of what you're doing out there. Try not to make it look too sloppy when you're doing team drills, and you want to be the leader, especially as the quarterback. If you're the one out there, obviously leading everything.
Well, let's take a look at the schedule real quick. We've got, I think, 6 teams held rookie mini camps last weekend, and the rest of the league, for you math majors, that's 26 teams. Does that add up? 8 columns. Is that right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, anyway, sorry, 2 columns of 4. I was about to say, I was like, that doesn't actually add up. Yes, the other 26 teams will hold rookie minicamp this coming weekend. I mean, I think you look at the teams that just held it. I mean, yeah, you certainly have interest in the rookies, but we didn't get any of the star quarterbacks of the 6 quarterbacks who you definitely want to see get out there and throw the ball around with their new uniforms. But I think there's a lot of excitement when it comes to that particular, like that's got to be. I mean, I think with rookie minicamps, largely it's probably a skill position thing from a fan perspective that they're excited to see, right? Just because you're not, you're like you draft an edge rusher first, he's not out there, really putting on a show, right?
I mean, it just depends. I think Brady literally articulated it perfect. Like, people don't understand when it's rookie minicamp, it's not just the guys that are undrafted free agents or guys that were draft picks. There's guys that they're on a tryout basis, like trying to just get an opportunity to sign on a team. And that's one thing I didn't know Brady going into rookie minicamp. I was so surprised when I got to the locker room and saw all these guys from all different schools that were there on a tryout basis. And unlike Brady, there was a couple veterans in my rookie minicamp, and I thought it was weird. I didn't know that you could bring veterans in to try out during rookie minicamp. There was a guy that was year 4 in the league, and he was there. And it was, to Brady's point, he was coming off an injury. He wanted to prove that he was healthy, right? And he went out there and competed. Matter of fact, this year, I think Jarvis Landry's doing the Jacksonville Jaguars rookie minicamp, trying to get back into the league. So I think it's a little bit different than when me and Brady came out in 07 and 08. I think the thing, to your point, Will, when people look at rookie minicamp, it is about the skill position players. Because a lot of people don't get happy and excited about trench play, which we know is what really wins games. When I talk about trench play, O-line, D-line, and if you look at that first group, right, you got Olu Fashanu for the Jets that won the first round, Byron Murphy from the Seahawks. I mean, like, fans that are like deep indoctored into their team, they're probably excited to see some of those guys. But to your point, the quarterbacks are what sells, right? And we'll see this weekend. I know we're going to have story time later, but I got a cool story. Just like Brady, I also wasn't able to go to my graduation. And guys, this is how clueless I was about the NFL. When I found out that rookie minicamp was during graduation, I actually called and asked, is there any way that I could still go to my graduation and just show up for the first 2 days? And the guy on the phone with me, Brady, and this is me as an undrafted free agent, was like, yeah, I don't think you should do that. That's when I realized how much of a business this was.
I mean, the whole point of going to college is get a job. So, like, you've got that job now. It's a little different for, like, all those other people in the workforce. Maybe decided maybe they haven't, but they haven't started yet.
Most people are like, all right, I'll start my job in a couple months. Like, I'm going to start looking for a job after I graduate. You guys are like, all right, job starts now.
Well, yeah, and we don't really get to pick, right? They pick you. Correct. But the other thing that's interesting is usually the team will have some guys who are like local, like they're from that state. They're from maybe around that city. Maybe they played smaller college ball, sometimes like D3, that sort of thing. I remember there was a high school quarterback he was older than me, maybe by a year or two. So I'm not even sure like where exactly he had been. I don't know if he was in arena league or what else he was doing, but Rocky Pentello was his name. Awesome dude. His receiver, who you'll remember this name, Lance Moore. You guys remember that name from the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, it was really good.
That was his receiver in high school. So Rocky, I remember, was there in a rookie mini camp. He had messed up his foot really bad, but football culture is just different. And so I think it was his parents or something. They're like, you have to go. Like, you've got to try out. Like, you have to go to rookie mini camp. You have to be able to go do this. I don't know that they passed him on the physical, even though he was like, nope, I'm good, like 100%. Like, I'm pretty sure it was like fractured, broken pretty bad, but it meant that much to him to get a shot, to put on the helmet, to go out there and like be a part of it. And so that's the other thing that people don't realize is for some guys, this actually is their last football. Like, they'll get a rookie mini camp and they'll be there and that's it. They don't get like another invite ever again. And that's the other crazy thing is, like, for some of these guys, like, this is where the dream ends. For others, it's where it starts.
All right, actually, I've got a pretty good example of that we can talk about when we come back after taking a quick break. We'll discuss who's coming in for the Broncos. It's a really interesting random local guy next.
Golf's brightest stars head to the Bluegrass State for the second major of the season. the PGA Championship, May 18th and 19th on CBS.
All right. So I was reading on 9news.com. I think it was Mike Kliss who wrote this, but you probably dealt with Mike Kliss, Brady, right?
Love Mike. Mike's the best, man.
He's a good dude. Yeah.
One of the best to be around.
Yeah. Noted that obviously Bo Nix will be there, and that that you have, of course, Troy Franklin, Aldrich Estime, Jonah Ellis will be there, but he's 6 months out of surgery, so probably not going to play. But John Machota, do you know who that is? Not the Cowboys beat writer, friend of the podcast, but the Colorado School of Mines record-setting quarterback who doesn't have an NFL invite anywhere, but does have a chance to go play for the Toronto Argonauts in the Canadian Football League, is going to be got an invite to the Broncos rookie minicamp, along with, as Mike notes, Air Force safety Jaden Goodwin, Colorado State's Tony Pierce, outside linebacker, guard Oliver Jervis, Oregon's, and then Colorado Springs Doherty. Oh no, Joe Golden of Oregon State from Colorado Springs Doherty High School. So to your point, Brady, the Broncos are sort of doing exactly what you talked about, which is you give an opportunity for these guys from local schools to come in, and by virtue of being there, you're maybe nothing happens from it, but you're getting a chance to throw in front of NFL personnel and NFL coaches who may see something they like, may end up going somewhere else, may bring you in. You never know, right?
Right. You never know. And obviously you take every opportunity, you exhaust all opportunities. The toughest thing about the whole Canadian Football League, transition for guys who play American football is the additional player, the forward motion. There's a lot of other things that kind of play a role in that. Obviously one less down, even the way the field's configured. It's a bit of a different game. And so it's hard. Like a lot of people think like, oh, I can just go transition from playing 11 on 11. It's going to be similar. There's similarities, but it's definitely different. So it's tough. It's tough for a lot of those players that I think, especially as a quarterback, when you're being asked to see the field a lot differently. If you're a DB, for example, can the guy play man-to-man and cover? Can he play off zone? Does he have the skills, right? Like it's a little easier to transition because your job's not quite as dependent on knowing everything that's out there and everything that's going on. Different for quarterbacks. So, hope it all works out for him, man. Colorado School of Mines. I remember when I was out there. Is that the school that I'm pretty sure they sling it around a decent amount? I don't think they punt much.
Oh, they don't run the ball at all. And also, Brady, if you ever seen some of their pictures for like their football pictures, like get a chance, look up School of Mines in Colorado. Just look at all the football players' pictures, man. It's something to look at for sure.
Okay, I'll check that out. But if I'm not mistaken, too, I don't think they punt. Like, weren't they one of those teams that implemented that strategy? I think at the college football level, where they're extremely aggressive offensively. I could be thinking of someone else.
Yeah, no, that sounds right.
I know they're always one of the top schools in Division II, though, for sure.
I'm trying to think what his. So he threw for 4,778 passing yards in 2022 with 52 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And then last year followed up by going 14-1, threw for 4,298 passing yards with 70% completions and 43 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. 162 passing touchdowns in his college career.
What are you pointing to, Brady? I mean, all the series, these like crazy looking white boys, dudes. I was like,
bro, I told you it's something to look at, man.
I assume that's what we were going to get was crazy looking Caucasian.
Is that a sticker or a face tat?
I think it's their logo. I think it's like a sticker tat. Like you can wipe it off.
Try looking at Colin Romero.
It's got to be on mushrooms, right? I mean, like
Nate Sutter looks like he's going the cross-eyed.
On mushrooms or something. I don't know. It's probably legal out in Colorado. I mean, Lord knows you didn't.
I'll just know they usually are pretty good every year, though.
Someone needs to look at the Blake Ramsey headshot for the Colorado School of Mines. He's got the old. I
actually feel like Colorado School? I'm trying to think. I was out. Me and my brother and my dad were out. In Colorado for Widespread Panic concerts in like 2019. I know my dad would really want to go. And Bob, he did. He really, really wanted to go.
No, it's the pictures, man. It's not you, Will. Trust me. It's not your story.
Okay.
You're not even there yet. You're still telling it.
I thought you were laughing at my dad to go to Panic.
No, I'm laughing at Chandler.
That's why I told you, Brady. You got to.
Let's look at it.
To behold those pictures.
Let's bring them up. Toss them
up.
Get
Harry to bring them up, man. Some of these.
I thought you somehow had like seen them. All right. Anyway, moving along. I'm not going to tell the story about Panic. You don't need to hear it. Okay. All right. There we go.
That's almost like rookie hazing, Brady. Like when you got to get the haircut, like your rookie year.
Yeah, that's what they gave to Tim. They got
Tim Tebow. Yeah. It's the monk haircut.
You got to go down to the center. Pugensi, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce his name, because he's got not only the hairdo, he's got the mustache to go along with it. It's pretty solid. Oh,
did we give it up? Let's see.
I don't think we did. Oh, you find it?
I was trying to bring up. I was actually bringing up. I was looking at Brady Quinn's shaved head, and found it.
Oh God.
And then there's a picture of some Broncos rookie who got a rat haircut. Were you part of this?
What do you mean part of this?
I don't know. Like I googled Brady Quinn shaved head, and this guy popped up. It's like Brady.
Denver was synonymous with always doing like the most craziest haircuts.
Yeah, we didn't haze anyone or anything.
Yeah,
in fact, I'm pretty sure
you're blatantly a haze beast.
No, I never participated in any of that crap.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, because
you gotta think, man, he had to shave his locks.
Well, I played young when I was a freshman, and I played young in high school when I was a freshman. So it was always like the older guys were kind of around me, but like they wouldn't do anything. Well, I was bigger in high school, but then once I got to college, it's like, well, you're playing right away. So how are you really going to haze the kid as much? Like you need to be like ready to go.
You can't haze a freshman quarterback who's starting for the team, right?
No, I'm just saying like it's a little more difficult. Like hazing is usually for the guys that are still learning the ropes and all that stuff. Right. They're kind of like a little bit of slappies out there. But when, like, for example, I think when John Fox got there in Denver, like there was like no hazing. Like no one was messing with Von Miller. I can promise you that. Like Von was just
that is.
Well, no, Von participated. I remember him getting a haircut too.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it was quite ugly.
Oh my goodness gracious!
You can zoom in on his mustache. Like a nice little handlebar mustache too. This is great.
What the hell?
So for all the people out there listening, this does not happen until training camp. This will be at the end of training camp. You get this sort of thing. This is obviously it's a redshirt sophomore, so I'm not sure what's going on.
If you're listening to the podcast, this is Chandler Poggensee, the center for Colorado School of Mines. Just Google that name, Chandler Poggenssee, and check out his picture. It is well worth your time.
Civil engineering.
I said, what a badass.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel when you got to rookie minicamp? Did you feel in over your head, or obviously complete juxtaposition of how you guys got to minicamp, just from a Brady, you were first round pick, Douz, UDFA, and I just wonder how that what that juxtaposition was like for, because the expectations are different, but also very. Same kind of thing, because you're a rookie, right?
Yeah, and I think coaches and people would play into it, and that's how I felt, Douz. When you get there in college, it's like they talk you up, they hype you up, then you get there now it's like they don't know you, and they're like, oh, come on, freshman. When you get there as a rookie, it's that kind of same thing. You've got this friendly rapport from the interview process or the combine, and then once you get in there, it's like, all right, rookie, come on, do it again, do it. I said this, and you'll be like, I know for a fact he said this. He's like, I said the other thing. You run that. You're a rookie. You got it wrong. It was almost like a type of hazing of its own, just being a rookie, and then seeing how you dealt with the adversity, dealt with intensity. Because again, you're not the vets aren't there, and it becomes much more intense when there's jobs on the line. And that's one of the things you realize too at the rookie minicamp when you start doing one-on-ones, you start doing whatever team drills you can do, is the intensity that comes along with it, because it's a make or break time for some of those guys out there.
Yeah, and to echo what Brady said, I think that was the biggest thing, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, the business of football. Like before you were in college, and it's a little bit different now because these guys are kind of in a business mindset with NIL and everything. But when me and Brady came out, we didn't have that, right? So I think that was the biggest thing for me, realizing how you had to flip that switch and realize this is your job, this is a business. And I think the realization was after minicamp, there were guys that got cut after minicamp, and guys that outperformed them during that minicamp that were on a tryout basis got signed to the team. So that lets you Like it lets you know right there, like how real this was. I think my biggest thing was when I came in, I was pissed off, Will and Brady, because I was undrafted. Right. Yeah. So I wanted to prove each day of practice that, they made a mistake by, for one, not drafting me, but that I also belong. So, when I went out there, I showed my versatility of playing D tackle, defensive end, and I always tried to make a statement. And then I think what Brady alluded to earlier was like also your leadership skills. Like they want to see who's going to stand out, who's going to bring everybody together. Somebody struggling, with the playbook. Are you talking with them on the sideline, right? Because at the end of the day, you guys are all grouped together as rookies. Yes, you're fighting for jobs, but they also want to see who's going to rise to the top, who's going to rise up under pressure. And also what Brady said, the mental capacity of it. Like those coaches are purposely testing you to see how do you respond to adversity. So like I tell people all the time in the NFL, like everybody is skilled. Everybody was the best player on their team. The guys that mentally can take it are usually the guys that last a lot longer than the guys that can't mentally take it, right? Because you got to be able to learn the playbook and then regurgitate that on the field. Literally, your meetings are like 2 hours before that. And whatever you learn in the meetings, you got to be able to, on the fly, do that on the field. And they want to see who can do that and withstand the pressure.
It's actually the last time, too, you will get really good fundamental attention and coaching.
Sure.
Because once the veterans get there, it becomes about the roster. It becomes about like who they're keeping, who they're not. It becomes about installing the offense and whether or not you can kind of keep up, be ready to go try to play and win football games. And if you can't, like it doesn't matter. Like that, like no one's focusing. Like this is really for guys who are drafted there and all that. Like it is the only chance you're really going to have at this point to get that sort of coaching and fundamental work, because you don't have enough bodies to have a team period, and they know obviously.
You mean during the off season, right? Not you like during the off season, preseason. In terms of the fundamental.
Again, Will, I'll say it again. This is the last time the entire season a rookie gets the type of attention and coaching, because everything else is focused on winning. It's all on their job security, winning and losing games, and you just don't have time to be able to devote to work with the rookies separately from what you're doing with the veteran guys. And then once the veteran guys get in there, that's more the focus. Like they're catching back up on like what tweaks are we making? What changes are we making? Who's the new personnel? How does that kind of match up? Or other guys are coming back from injury, so they're kind of testing stuff out. That's the focus. It's like that's then towards the season and winning. It's not on like getting you ingrained into the offense, into the culture, and seeing what you're capable of. So it's really the last and only time a rookie has where like you get the focus and you get like really good fundamental coaching. And then at that point in time, you just got to kind of hang on for dear life, because it's not about you after that.
Yeah. Well, before we go on, I just wanted to ask Brady. So like your rookie year, did you guys actually live with the vets? Because I know we didn't live with the vets. And then like when we did OTAs, after OTAs, we actually had like a rookie, like kind of like rookie college after that, where we got to spend time with the coaches. I didn't know if it was different on your squad.
Yeah, so we didn't lift with them because you had your different rookie programs mixed in. And oftentimes, there would be some veterans in there with you, but, you're so new to the program and you hadn't been given whatever the take-home program was, that they kind of had more of a baseline approach for the workouts, for strength and conditioning and everything. So it was a little different in that respect for us, but it was just different in the sense of like, it was just the last time you really got where you didn't feel as much of the intensity, at least with the coaching staff in the meeting rooms. Even in meeting rooms, you'd feel that, once you got the veterans there, like, you're being evaluated, you're being criticized, you're trying to prepare for the season. And you're talking about roster, as far as some of the different players around there. I mean, quarterbacks kind of always did their own thing, working out and meeting. But in this case, like as rookies, we were probably separate for a little bit too, just time-wise with the schedule.
How much of the playbook were y'all like soaking in at the rookie minicamp, or is it more about fundamentals and more about sort of like getting to know the coaching staff? Because I mean, you meet them in the process, but you don't like you don't work with them that much leading up to it, right?
It's probably like 3 days worth of stuff, like very vanilla. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So what they want you to do, Will, they want to see what people can actually do, right? They don't want guys thinking too much while they're out there. They want to see them at their best selves to go out there and make plays. Because like Brady said, you're being evaluated. Even if you sign as an undrafted free agent, or I've seen even some late round draft picks, which is weird. potentially like 7 rounders get cut after rookie minicamp, right? Because I guess they didn't go out there and they weren't focused. So they want it to be as seamless as possible. They want to see you in your element. They want to highlight what you do well, and they want you to go out there and make plays. So they're not going to give you that much of the playbook. The funny thing is, like Brady said, it's 3 days. It's right, Friday. And when we went out, it might be a little different now. When we went, we had 2-a-days on Fridays, 2-a-days on Saturday, and then we had a half a day on Sunday. I don't know if they're legally allowed to do that anymore. But nowadays, right, it's not as bad. I don't think the practice schedule is as long, and they don't do as much. So they literally probably even cut that down. And whatever you learn in those 3 days, you're probably going to learn it that very next week once you get back to, OTAs with the team, because it's different. Like you just talked about it, Will. 6 teams went this last weekend. So those 6 teams, they'll get to go home for about a week, pack up, and then come back. But the guys that are coming in this weekend for rookie minicamp, they're staying all the way through the offseason program before they take that break before training camp.
It's comparable to this. It's like drinking from a garden hose. When the veterans get there, it's from a fire hose.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah.
So sipping out of a garden hose, as long as the water's not, is decent enough quality. Like, you always do that as a kid, right? Fire hose, not so much. The man, it's so crazy how the NFL offseason schedule moves, where it's like, all right, for us in the media now, it's like, okay, we got a little break here, got a window here until training camp. But you really, you do, but you really don't. First OTAs for like the Chiefs, who had, their rookie minicamp this past weekend, May 20th through the 22nd, and then 28th through the 30th, and June 4th through the 7th. So the minicamp 11th through the 13th. It feels like for rookie. Like you say, it's just like all of a sudden you get through the draft. It's the happiest time of your life. You're like going to make an NFL team, and then bam, it's just, you're going to hit left and right with like information and work, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Brady can agree with this, and you can check me if I'm wrong, Brady. Your rookie year is the longest year of your NFL career, like literally, because of what you just said, Will. You literally go from you go through a season, then you go through all-star games, right? Then you go through the combine, then pro days, private workouts. Then you talked about getting drafted, and literally either that next weekend or the weekend after, you go to rookie minicamp, and then you're with the team already. So there's no break. And then what people aren't talking about, Brady, is even though the veterans, you get with the veterans around this time, you stay about 2 weeks after. Like when I came in, we stayed like a whole 2 weeks after the veterans left. And then, so that means your break between training camp is a lot shorter. And then to top that all off, Brady, a lot of times rookies come in a week before the veterans come in training camp. So without a doubt, we hear people talk about, Brinson, that rookie wall. It's because your rookie year is the longest year of your career. And just imagine if you go to a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, which you want to, or the Baltimore Ravens, you're going all the way to February, most likely, right? So you're talking about February to February without a break, your rookie year.
That's wild. It's and if you're in, even if you're in like a national championship team in college, you're still like done. You're done early, like the middle of January. It's a lot longer. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, talk about rookie. How has the NFL made life better for rookies transitioning into the league? We will discuss next.
And they're starting to get in the groove. So impressive.
Block your schedules. Aces are coming to CBS Sports Network.
Okay, so the Rookie Symposium, which is now the Rookie Transition Program, is it good? Was that helpful for y'all? Was that? I'm sure it is. I just want to. I do feel like now, like versus like 10, 15 years ago, there's a lot less. And I think this is true for kids in general at that age, at the 18 to 22 year old. Like I feel like kids are just more responsible these days than maybe we were. And I don't know if that's social media or like raised standards for like going to school or hyper, an insane generation of helicopter parents. I don't know what the specifics are. Maybe more awareness of stupid things you shouldn't do. But it does feel like, generally speaking, we get like less disaster stories about rookies coming into the NFL, where like Don't you think so? No.
No. I think it's about the same.
Really?
I think it's about the same.
I feel like there's just not that many like you're not writing like these like you're like, well,
maybe you're not. Breach still is. Breach is still looking for that low hanging fruit out there.
I don't know. I feel like the rookies are a little more responsible, and maybe that has to do with the sort of the overarching educational process. I don't know.
I would say this, and Leger touched on this earlier. These kids are going through the era now of NIL, and I think even more so than that. Even the way that they were recruited, and they're more, at least regionally, maybe statewide, or like household names coming out of high school. When you start getting big offers from colleges, you're more well known. Like you've grown up now in an age of just having technology at your fingertips, and so you know more about those prospects, even from high school to college to the NFL. And so with that, I think there's a lot of people who have, really taken the time to realize that, like, hey, I need to be more mature. I need to be aware that, like, I'm growing up in a society with a camera phone. Nothing I do is going to be private. Like everything's going to be public out there. So I think it's a credit to the kids, the parents, like a lot of the people that are probably at the high school levels preparing them, college levels preparing them. But I do think the rookie transition program is a good thing, for players. There's a lot of stuff that, like, you're just not accustomed to. Maybe that'll be different for the future college football player if they unionize. But you're like, what does it mean to be a part of a union? Why am I paying at the big, right away? They're like, ask for $10,000, right? For union dues.
They told me that. I said, what?
Are you serious?
I don't want to be a part of this group. I'm like,
the rep comes secretly to like everybody's locker room is like, we need you to sign this, for your union dues. And we're like, I got to give you what? Yeah. And I was an undrafted free agent. So I'm like, I got to give you what?
Do you have to do it, or is it?
Like, technically have to, but
no one really does. But
nobody doesn't not do it. Yeah,
there's a group licensing agreement too, which is like gives you the ability to make money, and you share in some of the revenue and all that stuff. But
if you don't sign the NFLPA agreement, you can't be in Madden, for example, and you can't get.
They would have to negotiate with you separately, or you just have like a number, like you just be the
Marvin Harrison Jr. is going through that right now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's, again, everyone can kind of choose and pick and choose their own battles, but it's just interesting. Like I think the union part of it was probably the one that you're like, you sign up for stuff that you don't even know that you're a part of in regards to your collective bargaining agreement,
correct,
and what's there for you. And so just to be able to have a program that they explain it to you, they bring people in, the NFLPA comes in, that's incredibly helpful. Because I don't care who you are, I don't care how you were raised. Most people are not aware of every one of the benefits, everything the NFL does for the current players, former players. It's just a lot to take in while you're still trying to learn an NFL offense, trying to figure out where to live and all that stuff. So it is a great program. Although I will say this from the Rookie Symposium, which is the old name they used to use. Chris Carter did speak. He did not say that we need a fall guy. All right. So, but he did, and this will be fun to bring up on the screen, Will, if you can. He did bring up Calvin Johnson. I'm pretty sure it was like Debo, Dwayne Bowe, and Robert Meacham on the stage. It might have been Ted Ginn. But he brought up like the wide receivers that we had there. I think. I can't remember. I know for a fact Calvin Johnson was there. I'm pretty sure Robert Meacham came up too from our class. But he was like, man, you guys aren't going to go in this league, do anything different than we've ever done. He's like, don't think you're going to go. He's like, don't disrespect the Shield. He gave us this whole talk. It was a good talk, but like he brought these dudes up and he was like, you guys would be lucky to have my yards combined, lucky to have all this. And I was like, damn, dude, that's Calvin Johnson, though. I was like, I don't know about that. Like he's different. Like he's different.
Chris was different too in the league.
So
Calvin Johnson's like literally bigger than Chris Carter, staying on the stage.
And it's not even just that, is the fact that to me, I'm like, all right, well, that's fine, but like these dudes have dreams too. Like, why try to put a cap on walking into the league, like what they're going to be capable of? Like, I get the sentiment, but at the same time, like, then I'm like, all right, well, Calvin's there, so we're good because he's gonna have a Hall of Fame career. I'm like, did you see this dude at the combine? Like, he's that big and he's running like a 4.40 or 4.3, whatever the hell he ran.
4.3, and he wasn't even gonna run. He didn't stretch or anything.
Like, dude, he had a Hall of Fame career and he didn't have to play that long. Like, think about that.
Yeah, that's that's not the group that's not the guy you want to be saying it in front of. Like the one guy you don't say it in front of, even maybe like Larry Fitzgerald, you could, like coming out of Pitt, you're like, all right, look, like if you have my career, that's a great career. But it's like Calvin Johnson is very clearly going to have a monster career, no matter who was at quarterback. Any memories for you from the symposium dues that stood out, or how that worked, how it didn't?
Yeah, the interesting thing was when I came out, when you were undrafted, you didn't get to go to symposium, right? So I actually had the privilege of going year 8, and I got to interview all the AFC rookies, part of the NFL, this NFL program that we did. And for Brady, it was probably easy, right? Because he didn't even have to go far to go to the symposium, because it was also always right outside of Cleveland, where the rookie symposium was. I do have a neat story though. I don't know if you guys did this.
Parents drive you, Brady?
We actually had it down in Palm Beach. We actually had
really? Oh, that's right. It does change. It changes
They used to have it.
The year I went was outside of Cleveland.
Yeah, so they used to have
Palm Beach is a lot better than
Florida,
Cleveland,
I want to say, or like out on the West Coast.
Correct. That's right.
They would try to pair it with the rookie premiere, which was where you would take pictures and all that stuff. So it would be somewhere in that ballpark around the same time.
Yeah. So my rookie year, and I don't know if Brady did this because he came out the year before me, they had every rookie fly to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if they had you guys do that, but you guys were right there, Brady. So I'm sure you guys took a trip to it anyway.
We did.
But I remember us flying and seeing a few other teams there, and I thought that was really cool. Funny story is we all had went out the night before, and everybody was struggling on that plane. Like, 'cause we had to fly commercial because it was just the undrafted and guys that got drafted. So it was probably like 13 of us, right? And we were struggling on that plane. And then when we got there, it was really cool to see all the history of the NFL. But going back to the symposium and comparing that to the rookie transition program, to me, the symposium made a lot more sense, just because Brady kind of alluded to this earlier. When you're a rookie, you're just trying to figure out how to be a pro, right? And a lot of times these programs would happen like after practice or a Monday, during the season after we've watched film and lifted weights. And at that time, you're just trying to get home and relax on that Monday, right? Because it's been a long week. The game was on Sunday. You come in Monday, you watch film, you lift your weights, and they'd have some guy in a suit come and talk to you, and you're like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not really locked in. Well, the symposium, to Brady, like Brady said, you're away for 4 days. You're literally locked in on, guys like Chris Carter coming in to talk to you. They bring in financial guys to talk about, financial literacy. And then you hear stories from guys that have struggled in the league, that maybe went broke in the league. So to me, I like the symposium setup, just because you went away for 4 days to literally focus on what that transition was like for a rookie. With the rookie transition program, I think it would hit more if they would actually bring in some of the guys that they brought in for like the combine, guys that players could relate to, right? Because a lot of times, Brady, you talked about it, bringing somebody from the NFLPA that, is in the suit, that's not really relatable to a lot of players. I'm not going to listen to him, right? But if you bring in a guy like, a Chris Carter or a Shady McCoy, or somebody that maybe had some issues, fumbling some money, guys would be more apt to listen to them and maybe not make the same mistakes. And then also to listen to them to see what it takes to be a pro in this league, like as far as taking care of your body, your film study habits and things like that. So I think that's one place where the NFL could make some leeway. I think for each team, they should bring in a legend for that team, where guys would actually look up to that guy and listen to him, because I think it falls on deaf ears when you bring in somebody that maybe didn't play or played so many years ago that it's really hard to assimilate who that player was for their team. And those young players are going to be like, well, I know he was a great, but I don't know who he is, so I'm not really going to listen.
Well, to that same, like on the same notion, I've seen the gambling policy like PowerPoint that they give to players, and you're like, and I'm like trying to like follow it for work purposes, so I can write about it or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, this lady that's like giving this presentation.
Exactly.
I mean, yes, like, just wake me up when you tell me how I can hit these parlays, lady. I don't know.
Ridley saying the same exact thing.
I know. She's like, I thought this is a gambling hotline. Where are the tips here? No, I just think that like if you brought in, bring in Jameson Williams to say, hey, here's what I thought was okay. Here's what I thought, here's what it turned out. Here's how I got in trouble. I think the real life experience in those regards certainly helps a lot more. All right, let's talk about the rookies and their performances, because that's the most important part. Hey, be a man, be a pro, get out there and save your, all the nice stuff they say to you. For rookie quarterbacks to start week 1, suffice to say, Caleb Williams will start week 1, right? That would be the biggest. Yeah.
That'd probably be the biggest shock if he wasn't out there week 1.
I think it would almost have to be injured or like in jail to not start week 1.
Oh my God. Why you got to put that man in jail, bro?
Yeah. What happened?
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. You tell me.
All right. Jane Daniels, number 2.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Check. He's going to start.
He starts for sure, right?
Drake May.
I don't think Drake May. You think Drake May start? I don't think Drake May should start.
I think they'll start Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, right. I do too.
I will bet Drake May on that one.
Hey, by the way, on the Patriots and Drake May, really quick, how weird is it that they're conducting a GM search now?
I mean, it feels like Elliot Wolf has been acting as their general manager.
Right.
I know he's been up for it. So why not just elevate him? Maybe it's the way you got to feel like you got to prove yourself. You know, I'm not sure what the rationale is behind it, but I would think Elliot Wolf is in the best pole position to get it.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird to, and I just wanted to make a note of this because to me, it speaks to sort of the maybe some concerns you could have about how this franchise is being run now post Belichick era, in the sense that Elliot Wolf is the interim GM through the draft. If you're the interim GM, you're doing whatever you can to appease the people who might potentially hire you. Like, you were basically being like, hey guys, what do you want? Like, you're making your moves, but you're probably making your moves to make them happy, which I think is potentially a little concerning.
Well, hold on. It is, but at the same time, you don't want to make those moves purely to make them happy. Then all of a sudden you get the job and you're like, oh, what was I thinking? Like,
or another team that could potentially want a GM. They see the moves you make and they're like, we can't hire you. We just saw what you just did in the draft.
I think Drake May was the right pick. I'm just saying.
Okay, and by the way, a little bit for the rationale as to why. Obviously, you took him number 3 overall. All right.
Yep.
It's hard to think that they're not going to, but for this reason too, they stuck there. They had a number of teams who tried to trade up with them, and they stuck there
for future first-round picks too.
Right. So that says something to it, and it's no disrespect to Jacoby Brissett. He could easily go in and start and play well, and probably be able to immediately give them a level of veteran play that would be able to be more helpful winning. But you drafted the guy number 3 overall for a reason, man. You got to sell something to that fan base. And I think there's just too much behind that to not let him go in there and go play. Again, barring he's not injured or in jail too. Why don't we throw that in there too?
Hey, look, if Drake May beats out Jacoby Brissett, it'll be the first time he's beaten NC State in his entire life. So that
wow.
You couldn't wait for that one.
0 for 2.
Wow.
My thing is, Brady, are you not worried with his deficiencies, him starting too early and potentially ruining his career, especially with the lack of?
I would say the same thing about Jane Daniels, Caleb Williams. Like, you're worried about any young rookie starting right away. Like, you don't know what you don't know until you get into it. And that's the hard part for a rookie starting right away is you get in there and you're like, oh, like things switch up a lot faster. Defenses can do so much more throughout the course of the game than what you had or what you experienced in college. So, yeah, I'm worried about all those things. Like, would you rather let him sit behind a veteran like Jacoby Brissett, watch how he prepares week in and week out, watch how he handles the team, the sideline, all the operations, everything else that it means to be a starting quarterback in the NFL? Of course. Like, I think we'd all rather watch someone else touch the hot stove and then be like, ooh, that's hot. Like, I don't need to touch it because I watched someone else do it.
Some people still gonna touch it, Brady.
And that's the problem is they got some other issues going on. But I think you get my point. Like, you'd rather, that's a luxury to have, and that's the position Michael Penix Jr. is in. So he's probably got one of the best shots to be able to go in there, not have to start, and we'll see what he's capable of.
I think. I mean, I remember it's been so long, but I think with you and Derek Anderson, right? Wasn't it? You weren't holding out. There was because we
hadn't agreed upon terms yet, but yeah.
Yeah, you didn't agree upon terms. I know. We went over this. We've been over this before, and I think the phrase "holding out" has been applied. And as you correctly pointed out, it was the two sides couldn't agree on terms. But back then, teams could basically leak out, "He's holding out," and everybody would run with that.
Back then, they can still do it today.
Yeah, but the player can go on social media today and tweet and say like, no, "I'm not holding out." Like, this is here's where we're at.
They didn't want me to start anyways, though. That's what they never.
That's what sort of I was getting at.
Yeah, it's just a while.
Well, I just wanted to see if I could get you mad about the holding out thing.
No. But to your point, like a lot of people behind the scenes knew that, but obviously, they didn't. The whole thing was what it was. But like, I knew going into it, like Charlie Fry and Derek Anderson were who was competing for the starting spot. And the crazy thing to me was just how fast. Like you talk about NFL, like how you doing rookie or hey rookie moment. I mean, Charlie got benched our week 1 game versus Pittsburgh at home after everything that offseason to prepare him for. And then they put in Derek and then they trade him right after that. I was like,
crazy.
Whoa. Like,
was that when they traded him to Carolina?
I thought it was to Seattle. I could be wrong.
I think it's to Seattle. I think Seattle's right.
Yeah. But either way, like the thought in my head, honestly, was as all this is transpiring, I felt bad for Charlie. Yeah, that's how I reacted. I was like, whoa! I was like, Will Brinson, whoa! But no, in all seriousness, I think I was going from like a public event where I found out, and I was like, holy crap! Because someone asked me, and I was fortunately with Amy Palcic, who like called me, talked me through it, because I'm like, I don't know how this all works. Like, how do we talk about this, discuss this? But in my back of my mind, what I wanted to say was, like, one, it wasn't fair to Charlie because you prepared him, basically gave him this small opportunity and then just ship him off. It's like, well, I would have gladly taken those reps. Like every one of those reps you were giving him through OTAs, minicamp, training camp, like I would have gladly taken those. So that was the tough thing about it, is like, it wasn't like we missed a ton of practice or anything else in the beginning of training camp where we hadn't agreed upon terms. But it was more of like, well, they probably would have done the deal if they thought there was a chance that I was actually going to play my rookie year, but they had 2 guys who they liked and they were having basically battle for it.
That is insane in hindsight. And I don't think you'd see it in the modern NFL, where the first round drafted quarterback gets no reps at the expense of Charlie Fry and Derek Anderson. All due respect to those 2 guys. But like, it's insane that because they set you back by doing that.
I remember I came back, and obviously I was very aware of everything. And I told my agent, because my agent, I was like, look, you know this better than I do. And there's times when he was like, hey, they're not answering the phone, or it's hard to get in touch with them. Whether or not that was true or not, I don't know. Like only those parties know. But I told him, I was like adamant about making it back in time for the first preseason game. So I was back in time for it, but they were like adamant about not playing me. Like they were like, no, you're back, but we're not going to play you for this. That's almost crazy. As punishment. Which I'm like, dude, we have 4 of these. Like, come on, give me an opportunity. I knew the last 2 I'd get more time, but those are some of the things, like looking back on it, you're like, man, that was just crazy how all that had worked out.
I think too now it's because of the newer CBA and the newer offseason rules that it's like you can't mess around with not giving rookie quarterbacks in particular every chance they get, which may be why we see Drake may end up starting. Penix, we don't think will start barring a Kirk Cousins injury or setback, right? I mean, that's like correct. They can't possibly. Can Penix possibly look good enough that they say, sorry, Kirk?
Hey, you're not giving somebody $100 million for 2 years.
I don't know, my man Penix can sling that thing. I don't know. Just saying. I mean, there's already heat. Can we just talk about this for a second? I know this is a side note, but it came out that Cousins decided to go with Atlanta because Minnesota told him they were going to draft a quarterback. And I'm sure you've already talked about that this week.
I heard that too.
No, we haven't actually.
Okay, so I look back on the decision, if that did factor into Kirk Cousins' head, like, well, I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going to a franchise that's going to give me a big contract, a lot of talent. It's my opportunity to really, really shine here and try to go win a Super Bowl here. But now looking back on it, you're like, man, you might have ended up in, I don't want to say a worse situation, because like the talent, the situation is great as far as like for him being a starter. But
correct.
I mean, they took a top 10 quarterback in Michael Penix, and they didn't really tell you about it till last second. So
exactly.
All those things, I feel like, I don't know, maybe he should have stayed in Minnesota. He had a lot more equity build up. Like with this Atlanta locker room and situation, if things don't look good early on and Penix does look better, it's not like you can revert back to like the past couple of seasons where you've played well for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To me, it reminds me of a really, really, really expensive version of Matt Flynn and Russell Wilson, both in terms of the contract and the draft pick, where Russ was a 3rd round pick and Flynn wasn't given $100 million. But the presumptive logic was Flynn's going to be the starter here. Well, if Kirk Cousins isn't fully back from his Achilles tear, or he's struggling to really push the ball and to like throw to tight windows, and Penix is out there. I think it was like somebody used a phrase like, "What if Penix is out there throwing piss missiles all over the place?" And
which he can do.
Yeah, and it's like, and he just looks better than Kirk Cousins. I mean, you
Kirk
have a
still starting
responsibility
just because the money is that crazy.
Okay. I mean, that's
like
usually how it works.
The Flynn thing was a little different. Like Flynn came out in my class. I was happy for him. And then that Russell Wilson thing happened. And I was like, damn, my guy Matt Flynn can't catch a break. I mean, he still got paid, right? But he never got he didn't get to extend his career because Russ took his job as a rookie.
Right. I mean, he still got paid. I mean, we saw, but I mean, it's I don't know. I think it's more likely than not that Cousins starts, but I agree with you completely, Brady. Not only do I think it's like I think he would have just never. I think he would have just figured out a way. If he had known, if the Falcons had told him before the new league year started that they would consider drafting a quarterback at 8th overall, then I think Kirk Cousins would have figured out a way to do a deal with Minnesota before the new league year started because of that whole contractual stuff with the cap hit. And I think he would have gone back to Minnesota. And I think Minnesota would have passed on McCarthy at 11.
Maybe, because it sounds like in the report, at least, that Minnesota did talk about drafting.
They were taking a quarterback regardless. I think they wanted a succession plan.
It was more of like knowing the situation you're going back into in Minnesota. They're going to draft one too, and being blindsided by it in Atlanta. And I think the other difference is just the equity you've built up. The wild card too is just the family component. Is you uprooted your family, granted for a great contract, but you were assuming he would have got that in Minnesota too.
And it's not like he needs money. I mean,
well, okay, yeah, like that's the thing. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You always want more.
You always want some more now.
When people throw out that stuff, I'm like, well, yeah, because like once you get to $300 million, you're like, all right, now I want to make 400, 500. Like it's
of course, but right, but I'm saying that I don't think that. I mean, to a degree, the decision was about money because Minnesota didn't want to commit. But I think if all things were equal in terms of knowing that both teams were going to draft a quarterback and you were going to get. Yeah,
what do you know?
And I think it would have
maybe he never felt the respect from Kwesi and them because we talked about that before, Brady. Like in regards to not giving them the extension where they could have gave it to him last year, and then it's also his wife being
saying all things are equal. Will said all things are equal. Like I think he stays, but obviously that's the issue is it wasn't equal.
Yeah. All right. We mentioned Michael Penix, of course, with Kirk Cousins. I think that's the longest shot there. JJ McCarthy. Does he start week 1 or is it slinging Sammy Darnold?
I don't know if he does either. I feel like, look, outside of the turnover issue Sam Darnold had, he was darn good, man, at Southern Cal his 2 years.
That's the issue, the turnovers.
Right, and it's unfortunately plagued him, but I also feel like this is a really good spot. Like I feel like
for sure.
It's the best spot for all the rookies, but it's the best spot for a veteran trying to prove himself too. Yeah. If you got Justin Jefferson to throw to, Jordan Addison, like you got some
Hockenson.
Yeah, you got some offensive linemen. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like this will be an interesting one only because I don't know that they will right away, but I feel like eventually JJ obviously will get his opportunity this year.
Correct.
I think that if you were going to pick, obviously Cousins and Penix would be the first, number one spot where you're like, this rookie doesn't see a single snap all season long. But then the number 2 would be Minnesota, where Sam Darnold plays. They win their first couple of games. The offense looks good. Flores has got the defense kind of cooking. You have Aaron Jones there now, too, who's a great receiving back. There's just a lot of weapons. Kevin O'Connell, a fantastic offensive-minded coach. It just feels like a spot where, yes, Darnold could hold him off for the entire year and Minnesota makes the playoffs, but also McCarthy could be the week 1 starter if he looks good. Bo Nix has to deal with Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham. He's 24 years old. I don't see how Bo Nix isn't the week 1 starter with what Sean Payton invested in him. It's a classic case of follow the money. And they're like Zach Wilson and who did I say it was? Jarrett Stidham. Stidham. He likes Stidham, of course, but
I was about to say, I think Stidham has an outside chance to at least start this season.
Okay. To start at some point? Yeah, for sure.
I think it's Bo Nix, and it's based on the premise that the reason why they wanted Bo Nix was his maturity. They felt like he picked up the offense when they brought him out and tested with him really well. So if those are the intangibles that you're excited about, you'd have to think that like they're gonna make this work. And if I'm Sean Payton too, I mean that's what you're selling right now for this team. The whole entire thing last year was you moved on from Russell Wilson after that whole debacle. the fastest way of forgetting about that is you play the guy you drafted to replace him. If you play Zach Wilson or Jarrett Stidham and you have this transition to Bo Nix, it's kind of like, all right, does Sean Payton still have it? Can he still can his quarterbacks work? Because whoever you start outside of Bo Nix, he's not going to be playing well. That's why you're going to move on from him to Bo Nix, right? So like, I think that is somewhere in the back of Sean Payton's mind as this year becomes that crucial year in his tenure in Denver.
I think he needs Bo Nix to win that starting job and to play well. Because if he doesn't, to your point, people will start saying, was it just Drew Brees? And that would
be a good question. I don't know. He revitalized Jameis Winston.
Yeah, and Taysom Hill. We did have the Taysom Hill experiment. All right. That'll do it for us. We're going to wrap up there. Great talk on rookie life. Hashtag rook life. Rookie life. Whatever. Hashtag salt life. I don't know. I was trying to come up with something. Didn't land. Doesn't always land. That's why you've got to be a volume.
Are you saying that because the joke about the salt life thing I told you once about my wife?
No.
Oh, God. So my wife misread that bumper sticker or sticker. Instead of salt life,
she thought it was
SLU. And I was like,
wow.
She was like, why would someone put that on the back of their car? I'm like,
oh my goodness.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I was like, they're about the ocean, they're about like water sports. She's like, what? I was like, no, yeah. So that's like the running joke every time you see it.
Goodness.
People read
that one a little fast.
Advertising their promiscuity. Yeah.
I don't know how prevalent they are in South Florida. They're everywhere in Eastern North Carolina. Okay. So you see a lot of that
yeah, for sure.
loose life out there. That's fantastic. God, that's a great story. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh my God, it is what I think it is. Yep, sure is. All right. Everyone out there, live that hashtag salt life. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Douz, for Brady, I'm Brinson. We'll see you guys later.